Chandra Kurma Devatashan Om Har Shakti Devitam Vijanan. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Welcome to ISKCON of Silicon Valley. For those of you who are here in the live studio audience and those who have joined us online from various places around the world, we welcome you. This society, called the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, was founded by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami Prabhupada, who is the disciple of one of the descendants of Krishna coming through disciplic line, that is, a descendant as a teacher who brought the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the most recent incarnation of Krishna. And after receiving the teachings, Srila Prabhupada, who founded this organization in New York in 1965, expanded those teachings in the Western world so that they could be comprehensible to English-speaking people. And he also amended the practice in such a way that Westerners could take it up. From 1965 to 1977, the year that he left the world, he engaged tirelessly in printing books, opening temples like this one. Although he didn't open this one, he just opened temples like it around the world, and many have opened since he left. And he also taught internationally, giving classes, meeting dignitaries and professors and all kinds of people from every walk of life to inculcate the teachings of Lord Krishna from the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam. And amazing as it is, although he started without any backing, any resources, what to speak of. He didn't have venture capital. He didn't even have a definite backer except for Krishna. He was highly successful. He simply came by himself and introduced the process of Krishna consciousness, especially chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, which is a spiritual formula. A mantra is a way in which one comes directly in contact with the deity, in this case Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, through chanting his names. And he did that publicly, which attracted attention, as you might imagine. And then it actually just attracted followers who were fortified by his teachings that he held at a small storefront in New York City, especially on Bhagavad Gita and some on Srimad Bhagavatam. At that time, there were not very many books available for those who would come and listen to read, but gradually those books came out. And he also restarted his publication called Bhakti Godhead Magazine that he had started alone while he was in India. So single-handedly, he was able to bring the Krishna consciousness movement to the West. I was discussing with a godbrother of mine before I came here how being alone is not so easy to practice Krishna consciousness. Some of us have experienced what it's like to be isolated. Of course, we had the benefit, most of us, of being online and seeing each other through Zoom, watching other Krishna conscious programs on Zoom. But we were kind of alone and responsible for our own schedules, right? To some degree. And it's not as easy as when you're with others who are getting up at the same time, chanting at the same time, and so forth. And my godbrother was noticing the difference in his life. So he has, the one I was talking to, lived outside a community like this for a long time and is looking forward in his retirement to moving back in to a community where he can be with all the devotees 24 hours a day. So then he was reflecting about and remembering how it is that our founder, Srila Prabhupada, had been alone for 10 years in Vrindavan. Before he came to America, he was preparing by writing books and meditating on the way that Krishna consciousness could be spread and developing a blueprint. That was by himself. He didn't have backers at that time either. He lived very, very simply. And then when he came to America, he was alone for the first year without any help whatsoever. There were mishaps, for instance, his manuscript he was working on, and back then there weren't backup drives because there were no computers, no personal computers anyway. His typewriter was stolen. The manuscript that he was working on for Bhagavad Gita was stolen. He had to start over again. Have you ever had that happen before? Not that your manuscript was stolen, but that you lost everything. In the old days, that used to happen on computers where, we just lost everything. I have to start over. Despite the fact that he was alone and there were mishaps and he didn't have backers, he persisted and held on to the order of his teacher to spread Krishna consciousness in the West. And with determination, not without some tribulation, he was able to develop an international society incorporated in New York City around 1966. And then it spread to San Francisco, to Montreal, New Mexico, and then it jumped over the ocean to London. More and more people began to support the Krishna consciousness movement. And in just the time between 1965 and 70, about 13 years, Srila Prabhupada traveled around the world more than a dozen times, which is difficult anyway for any person, but he was in his old age. And he also curtailed sleep during that time because he felt like his window of opportunity was short. So he gave up on sleep pretty much to continue writing books and managing an international movement. Most of his managers that he recruited were starting from the West in America, but they were young and without a lot of experience. And nowadays, when people come to the Krishna consciousness movement, especially here in Silicon Valley, many have PhDs and master's degrees and already have a sense of how to manage themselves and what to speak of resources and organizations and so forth. These young people that were recruited, sometimes people compare to Lord Ramachandra, who had none other than a monkey army to assist him. And of course, by his power, they were very successful. So what we have now in the modern day is what was passed down, exactly a blueprint, from the blueprint down to the details of everything. You see the way the temple is set up, including the way we perform a worship of Radha and Krishna and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and the various ways in which we chant the mantras and so forth. These are not whimsically taken up. They have been prescribed and passed down through a line of teachers. And we often check to make sure that the ways in which we're practicing are in line with the teachings of our founder Acharya and also the previous teachers. So those who take up the practice, even incidentally, who walk in and take up any of the practices, are following an authorized process, so be careful. that is, it'll be effective. If you'd rather stay in the material world and suffer, then probably don't step in, because you might lose your will to try to enjoy the ship going down. So one of the main practices that anyone can do and is encouraged to do is the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. And we'll start an experiment by chanting together the Hare Krishna mantra. Those of you who are online, please feel free to join in behind muted mics. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatyarishatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. You see, everything's going to be fine. So, if you ever feel blue or annoyed, anyone? Chant. Former President of the United States used to say at rallies, no, I'm not going to say any names, but he said, don't boo, vote. And we say, don't complain, don't worry, don't get annoyed, chant. Because when we chant Hare Krishna, just like we did now, we are directly in contact with the spiritual environment. Actually, we're directly in contact with a person. Krishna makes his avatar, and avatar means one who descends from a higher dimension to meet us at our level in order to help us. And the chanting of the mantra is an invocation which brings the avatar directly to us, or which attracts the avatar, or is the avatar directly, actually, the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, especially when it's received in the right company, from the right company. Company that has authorization to distribute its products. And then, as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Mam cha yo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. What that verse means is good news for all of us. Because Krishna is saying that you can rise above the annoyances of the material world. And once when I was talking with these sort of less demonstrative words about the sufferings of the material world, like annoying doesn't really sound that bad, does it? You're annoyed. A godbrother of mine complained, I said the material world's a place of inconvenience. And afterwards he said, that's the understatement of the millennium. It's not just an inconvenience, it's downright torturous. But I'm not using those kinds of words right now. If you're annoyed or you feel disoriented, or you feel left out. Anyone ever feel left out? Lonely? What's some other things you can feel? Emotions. Frustrated. Possible? Anyone? Come on, let's express ourselves here. Let it all out. So, any of those emotions in which we feel that we're oppressed by our mind and by the world, by others, it's too much. It's just too much. Chant Hare Krishna. It works because it means we're directly in touch with Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then there's no problem. The only problem that I have is when I lose my connection with Krishna. And there are different ways to have connection with Krishna, but the best way is through emotion. And that's what Bhakti Yoga is. So there's a practice to this whole thing. Practice means practical. It means we're humans. We can listen to a short class and then pick something up and take it home, write it on our wall, tattoo it on our arm. And then we can follow it. 1, 2, 3. So I have a little formula I'd like to present. I don't know, can we write it on a document or something? Okay, P equals C, and then there's a connecting line, LT, another connecting line that says RM, and then an arrow, which means leads to, at least it does in economics. This leads to that, right? And then R equals G. Did you get all that? Did anybody write it down? You did? Okay. Why don't you take a picture of it? We can put it up. Okay, here's how it works. Take a photo or something. Or you can type it. You know how to do that? P equals C. I don't know what the nomenclature is in calculus or whatever to make it relate a relationship between different letters. It's not leads to, but I just put a little underline. P equals C, and then a connecting line, LT, another connecting line, RM, arrow leads to R equals G. Now do you get it? Okay, you got it? We need a PhD over there. Okay, practice. Practice equals, P is practice. Concentration over a long time. Concentration over a long period of time. RM, that's LT. RM is the right mood. Arrow leads to, now I forgot what R stands for, hold on. Well, if anybody can break the code, you win something. That's good. No, wait a sec. Yes. Okay. R equals response. And then equals grace. Okay, so thank you for your patience. We're still working this out. So practice means you have to concentrate. So when we're doing our practices of practices will see, and it's not an arrow, because that means leads to, just maybe a regular line to LT, and then RM, then an arrow. Do a dash. Instead of 2 arrows, do a dash. Okay, so you have to concentrate. Concentrate means you're actually focused on the practice. So let's just say in chanting Hare Krishna, this is one of the main practices. If you're doing something else at the same time, it's not really considered practice. You have to set aside time specifically for the practice that you're doing. This is if you want to make advancement and get grace. So concentrate. Fix your mind on the one thing that you're doing now, the practice that you're doing. So there's various practices in Krishna consciousness that you can concentrate on. For instance, you may be serving Krishna by cleaning, or you may be chanting or hearing something. So you have to concentrate and do it over a long period of time. So that means be consistent over time. Don't do it just for a day or two, although anything's good, but if you want the result, you have to keep doing it. Don't stop and say, well, I didn't get anything yet, so I quit. So see for long time, then right mood. So the mood has to be correct. So in bhakti, in the bhakti practice, the right mood is that I'm a servant and I'm doing it as service, whatever I'm doing, and we should be humble. This is also one of the quintessential teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in bhakti, is be very humble, consider oneself to be a beginner, and enter into the practice feeling helpless. So that's the right mood. Then, from there, what we get in bhakti is a response. We need the response. So Krishna responds to that kind of bhakti that's done with concentration over a long period of time in the right mood. Then there's a reciprocation or response. So respond means that you put out something, like a prayer, and then you get the answer. It comes back to you. And can anybody relate to that? Probably, if you're sitting here, you've gotten some response somewhere in your life, and you felt, yeah, let me follow up on that. And that response is grace. It means that we can't create grace. It comes to us by Krishna's mercy, but our part is to do the practice and put ourselves in that position. Maybe we could work with the formula a little bit more, but those are the basic elements. So before I go to the next part, I have a few more points for you, that I've essentialized that you can take away. But let's see if you have any questions about this part or any reflections. Yes, Hansapriya.
You just reminded me the Jayadvaita Swami's statement that many times you have repeated here, that even in sadhana, something that's done the same thing for the long time with the right mood, then you will feel that taste of the freshness and need it, like it's a daily dosage. So I was thinking this formula, what you gave, it can be incorporated in a daily dose basis, little by little, in incremental, probably might help to get to the extended mood, to right mood, to have it on more more and more in our activities.
Good point that you make, and that is when we begin any kind of practice, we may feel inadequate, and we also may not have the wherewithal to concentrate for a long time. So this is a relative term, long time. What's long for one person may be very short for another. So consistency is important. And this comes out in the teachings of the acharyas. Acharyas means the great teachers of bhakti who have passed it down in a way that we can all practice it. And one of them, in the book Nectar of Devotion, also called the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, mentions that we should practice bhakti constantly. In other words, if you're going to have, if it is a perfect process, why wouldn't you live in it all the time? And the question is, can you live in it all the time? You might ask ourselves, did you get what you're looking for in life yet? If the answer is no, then say, maybe there's a different approach. And then you say, okay, I have a spiritual approach, but can you live in it all the time? So it's hard sometimes for people to live in their practice all the time. So the great acharyas say that you should then at least do it once a day. That's the minimum. Because every day is a self-contained unit. And you should take the time every single day to have some practice. Even if it seems small, you can start with that. And that done every day for a while. What's a while anyway? What would that be? Huh? More than one day. What did you say? 21 days, okay. Anshu's is recommending 21 days. There's a theory floating around about the 21-day habit forming. And if you can do something for 21 days, that's quite an accomplishment. But do it for a while, a few weeks, so you can see what the result is. But don't be afraid to start with something small, but fully concentrate when you do it. And the process, when enacted in this way, will bring what we're looking for, which is a response from Krishna. You'll be able to see it for yourself in your life. What other questions or reflections? Shraddha.
Thank you, Maharaj, for this wonderful formula. I was thinking that it relates to so many verses in the Shikshashtakam, yeah. Because I was thinking about the concentration and how can we concentrate. We need to have a clean mind first, Cheto Darpana, Marjanam. And then, the right mood comes from Trinadapi, Shunichena, Taroreva, Shashrana. And the long time, there's a verse over there which says, there's a surrender, mood of surrender there which says it doesn't matter what you do with me, so we should not be hankering for where are the results coming, when are the results coming. The a while can be really many years like that. So there's so many connections there.
I would like to also mention, following your excellent remarks, that in order to concentrate in bhakti, we require emotion. Or I should say, when we have emotion, true emotion, we're able to naturally concentrate on something. For instance, if you have an affection for someone, and then they're going away, or you're separated from them, it's not that hard to think of them, is it? Right? So there's a way in which in bhakti, if we can develop some emotional attachment, especially to those who are practicing bhakti. That's why it's important to have friendships in bhakti. If you have friends that you're attached to, that you respect, and you have mentors and teachers that you're attached to, and you have a feeling for, then it's easy to think of them and be attached to the practice, because you'll think, okay, what are they doing? What would they do in a situation like this? And when you take time to come to the association of devotees, and you start to have memories about experiences you have. For instance, on festival days, when we're able to be together all day long and chant and do service, and then late at night we have sometimes chanting into the wee hours of the night. There are these impressions that we start to develop, and we get attached to them. Devotees, I notice, they get an emotional attachment to other devotees and also to their service. And these are important ways for us to stay in the practice and to concentrate also, because when we're emotionally attached, then it's much more likely that we'll be fully concentrated. And concentration means over time, every day we'll do it. We'll think, what are my mentors doing? What are my friends doing? What is the community doing? And then we can stay in the practice more likely. Okay, there were a couple more. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. When you started today by saying that Prabhupada was all alone when he was in Vrindavan, and when he came to America, he was all alone. But he still, was persistent, and he made sure that he follows the request and the order of his spiritual master. I have been struggling since yesterday because there's one participant of Bhakti community who is really advancing, and she actually wrote to us saying that, I really love the Zoom calls and everything, but it can't just be the 2 days. Krishna can't just leave me like that. Krishna Prabhu actually forwarded that message, and she's looking for association, and she's saying, I want somebody to walk with and talk with me about Krishna. And so while help is coming on the way, and we are working very hard to see how we can integrate her, but as an interim, how should we advise such a person? Because these people are really interested, but we want to give them a right environment to come in and start getting the experience. So as a stopgap, how should we deal with this situation?
Just be very loving and kind and helpful, like you already are. Just keep doing it. When we teach Krishna consciousness in the world, we create a problem for ourselves, and that is how to manage all the response. And it's in that anxiety of trying to fulfill all the orders we get. It's like a company. When you start up, one of the biggest problems you can have is if you're successful. A lot more companies go out of business because they're successful than they do for not getting enough orders. Because you can always somehow or other, well, not always, but you can often pull through by getting more loans and things like that. But if you get huge orders coming in, then it's really hard to keep up with them, and you can lose your thing. So in Krishna consciousness, we go out and we teach people about it, and then they become excited about it. They want to know, where's the rest of it? You're hiding something from me, and you hand it over now. That's a good sign, but we really have to think about it and create these kind of bridges for people. A stopgap measure, it's not really stopgap, it's the foundational part, but everybody needs attention. And so with people like the person you're talking about, be there for her, set up extra time, whatever you can do. But just care and attention. The best fertilizer is a gardener's shadow. Nothing replaces the personal touch. Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for reminding this wonderful point. I had a question, about practice concentration over a long time. I must confess, a lot of this knowledge for me becomes theoretical. In the sense, knowing is one thing, but implementing is very difficult. Like I must confess, I start chanting very enthusiastically every day. But some of my rounds, I'm doing it, with the room is in a mess, putting things around, or some things. I've heard this many years and so on, but still that somehow or the other creeps up. So I just wanted to know, Maharaj, what is it that is missing? It's kind of it's plateauing. It feels that after reaching a certain level, the next door is just not opening up. So is it, and then you already gave a wonderful point about emotional attachment, which can be added. But what is it? Is it some sort of offenses that we do to Vaishnava, which is causing us to just not go beyond a certain level in spite of hearing it over and over and over again? What can it be?
We have to be patient. Rupa Goswami recommends being patient. And if you think of doing for instance, chanting, we're talking about personal chanting, we call it japa. That's the hardest thing there is because it's just you and your mind, generally. And that's sometimes not a fair fight to start with. But it's helpful to be patient and also be a little merciful upon yourself, because often high achievers like yourself become impatient, like, why aren't I getting prema right away? Why is this so hard? How come I'm on a plateau? But if you look at your overall situation, where you are right now, you might make a little solace. You're pretty well situated. You're a human. That's a big deal, actually, if you think about it. And the survival rate coming in and getting to a certain age, it's not guaranteed, but you're there. You're in a practice, solidly connected. You're also, you've distinguished yourself in the process of devotional service. Can ask anybody. And if you take stock of some of these things, and then sometimes you have to take a deep breath and say, okay, I'm not as bad as I think. I know we have this idea you should be so humble and feel like you're completely unworthy. And that's true in a sense, but you should also remember how far you've come and where you are now, because that can help you settle down a little bit. And that's kind of what Krishna says when I've quoted this verse a million times here, but Jata Shraddha Matkatasu Nirvina Sarvakarmasu Veda Dukatmakam Kamam Sprityage Pyanishvara Tato Bhajeta Mam Prita Shradalo Jurdanishchaya Jushamanam Shtatang Kamams Duko Darkam Shtagarayam. Krishna says, chill out. Keep going. Don't stop. I know you're freaked out about the fact that you're going for a while and you don't feel that you have complete success. This is understandable. But remember, you're in the right process. And just because you don't have the power to do everything you want to doesn't mean that you won't. Devotional service comes of its own power at a certain time. Doesn't mean we shouldn't try, but Krishna will give us the fruit will naturally ripen when the time is right. Trees that give really valuable fruits, like nut trees, they take a long time for the nuts to fructify, or fruit trees. They don't just grow up and give fruits right away. So practice. Confirmed. Okay? Be patient. Just take a while. Chart out the next 30, 50 years. And take a steady approach of a long period of time. And if all you do really is stay in the practice for your whole life, even if you feel like you're on a plateau, you're in the upper percentile. According to Krishna's formula, Manushanam Sahasreshu Kashyad Yatati Siddhaya. He said not many people actually get serious about spiritual life, and those that do don't really come to this point of understanding the refined philosophy of Krishna. What to speak of, practicing it. So you're doing okay. Better than okay, actually. Just keep doing it. Keep on keeping on. Anybody else? Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. There was this point about concentration, and you said that you can concentrate on any devotee who you're attached to and who you respect. So I was thinking, I had a question about how while chanting we're supposed to concentrate on Krishna, but really we've been with Krishna, but we don't remember anything because we wanted to stay in this. We wanted to go to the material world and experience a life without him. And so, how do we concentrate on Krishna, who we really don't know? I mean, there's Shastra, but we haven't really experienced a life with him. I mean, we have, but we don't remember at least. So, yeah, how can you give me some tips on how to concentrate on Krishna while chanting?
Okay, sit up straight. And then when you chant the Mahamantra, then enunciate it. You might record yourself and see if you're actually pronouncing it, because it helps you bring more awareness to your chanting. You're not just going, saying something else. And then pray when you're chanting. Start by thinking about your situation. Last night I was thinking about how something that a devotee had told me about being in a helpless situation. Has anybody been in a helpless situation? You have, okay. Remember your helpless situation and try to get into that space before you chant. This is very helpful, actually, because my false ego tells me that I'm okay and I'm independent, but actually I'm not. I'm really helpless. Have you ever noticed that when you get in a helpless situation, you naturally turn to Krishna? Oh, Krishna, please help me now. So that's reality. So just come to reality for a second. What a concept. And think that right now I'm helpless. I don't have to wait until my car is careening off the road or someone called and said, guess what? Your website got hacked and all your money's gone, or whatever it is. Sorry, but that ought to help. If you're able to come into that position of thinking that I don't have any backers. In fact, remember this point. This is something that Krishna brings up in the Bhagavad Gita. He said, I'm your backer. They're always looking for a backer for something. You get a loan, you got to get somebody to back you up, a backer. Who's your backer? I know you're going to say Krishna, but like who backs you up on things? Okay, your husband, who else? Your bank, who? Your friends, parents, anyone else? Teacher, huh? Parents, okay. There's all these, and so in the Bhagavatam, Shukadeva Goswami says, consider this for a minute. All the backers you have now, they're all going to, somehow or other, they're not going to be able to back you up. Even if they really want to, they're not going to back you up at a certain point. And they're like, sorry, you're on your own. We can't help you right now. So Krishna consciousness is very simple. It means realize who your real backer is. This is an existential reality. If you consider the fact that right now I'm helpless, I only have one backer, and that is Krishna. So he says in the Bhagavad Gita, I'm your backer. Suhrit, he said, I'm your suhrit. I'm your best friend who will never leave you, and by the way, I have the power to do stuff for you. Other people, not so much. So this is Krishna consciousness. It means consider Krishna is my backer. He's my only backer, ultimately. Shukadev, he doesn't depend on anybody. He's speaking the Bhagavatam. I mean, he left home early, like right after he got out of the womb. So see you later. He didn't even say that. He just turned around and left. And they all like, come back. We want to back you up. And it's like, no thanks. And he speaks the Bhagavatam and he says to the world, Deha patra kalatradeshu ap asainesu satsapi tesham pramato nidhanam pashyanapi na pashyati. So you're all thinking you got a backer. There is no backer for you that's not a fallible soldier unless you're taking shelter of Krishna. So start your chanting that way. And if you can come to reality before you chant and ride that wave of reality while you're chanting, then you'll actually feel like, I don't want to stop. I want to go back into that false sense of myself and get distracted in the world. And that's when you know you're making advancement, and that's when concentration becomes really thick. Everyone can do that. We're all souls sitting in some kind of body. And we can remember that we're helpless. That's not unreasonable, right? Okay. Okay, a couple more points. Three things to remember to align ourselves in Krishna consciousness, so that you can be in the practice no matter where you are at all times. So the first thing is to consider where your home button is. Everyone needs a home button. You have to have a place that you consider, this is my place. It's a natural sense that every living entity has. I have to have a home. If you don't have a home, then you're a wanderer and you're moving from one place to the next without any shelter. That doesn't feel great. That's why travel comes from the word travail, which comes from a word which means instrument of torture. And so this sense of home is mentioned in the Bhagavatam, Dautatma Purusha Krishna. He says when a traveler who's weary from being on the road comes back home, suddenly feels satisfied, that everything's okay. So when somebody comes to Krishna, that person feels satisfied that now I feel home. So remember that your home is with Krishna. It's in the spiritual realm. It's not in this world. That could make things better, because the mistake I make in thinking the home I just paid $4 million for, that I have to pay, how much in property tax? $700,000 a year in property tax and all this. That's not your real home. That's like an Airbnb. You're just staying in it, and you could get evicted at any time. I've stayed in some pretty bad Airbnbs. People are really nasty. You can't have any friends over, and it's our so-called home in this world is a farce. It's really a farce because you can't keep it. So don't consider this world or any place that you've set down your tent to be your home. I mean, I'm not saying live on the street somewhere. I'm saying the opposite. Find your real home. In this lifetime, just remember that this world isn't our home. Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Param Sada. The devotees are ones who are sada. They're always meditating where my real home is. They're thinking, the spiritual world is my home. This isn't my home. That's good news, because this world can't accommodate us as a home. We don't belong here. That's the first thing. Second thing is we need an object of love. So you might notice that every living entity has a propensity to love. And we're all projecting that into various entities in this world. Let's name 5 where people project their love. And I'm not talking about pure devotees and thinking about Krishna. Okay, so who are 5 objects of my love in this world? Dog. Dogs are a huge, it's like my neighborhood. There's no other animals but dogs. And, dogs are very lovable because they just, especially when they're when they're street dogs. Of course, dogs are very affectionate. We were doing a parikrama around Govardhan, and we had about 7 devotees, and we were walking along really fast, and this dog just looked at us and go, "Can I come?" We was like, "All right, come on." And he just jumped in and was like, "I'm with these guys," and all the other dogs were barking at him and saying, "Get out of our territory," and saying, "I'm with these guys." And we said, "Yeah, he's with us. Leave him alone." So it's easy to get attached to a dog. It's like, at least my dog loves me. So you can love a dog. Yeah, that's for sure. You can get an object of attachment as a dog. Car. First law of buying a car, I learned this a long time ago. Don't love the car because it won't love you back. Love a car. It just, over time, it gets old. And it's a wrong style. Even after one season, they come out, "Hey, did you see the fins on the new one? That one looks much better." So you can love a car, but it won't love you back. Another one? House. You can love a house. The houses are like running a business, constant maintenance you have to put on them, plus you have to pay the insurance, plus you have to pay, the mow and blow guys to come and torture you with their loud blowing of mowers. That's a good enough excuse in and of itself to leave the material world. Leaf blowers. That's my main thing. If they ask me, you want to stay in the material world? No, thanks. If there's leaf blowers, I'm out of here. I hate it. And there's what you get in a house in the suburbs. Anything else? What? I can't hear. Career. You can love your career. Yeah, and mostly we put our object of love into, we could say our career. I love my career. Careers change, jobs change. What else? Family, children, so forth. Okay, so not that we become cold-hearted, but we should be realistic and understand that wherever we invest our love, whatever object we put our love into, okay, you say family, children change over time. They're not the same when they're 7 as when they're 27. They change. It's different. It's hard for us to keep up that affection going in one direction, and then they disappoint us in different ways. How can a relative that we love disappoint us? What? Get a bad grade in school. Let it all out. Let's discuss this. It's therapeutic. There are different ways. What? Jump on your back? Talk about behind your back. There's so many ways these relationships can come and go. So, a simple formula. Realize through hearing logic, real wisdom, that there is a supreme person who's the object of all of our love. We're actually part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If I invest my love in a politician, a lot of people do, they get really emotional. It's like, I hold a sign, it's got to be this, and then a revelation comes and they go, I hate the guy. Or, it just changes over time. But with Krishna, it never changes. So this is satisfaction, to have an object of love that is real, never diminishes, and who can reciprocate with us. So first one is home. Second one is our object of love. If you're going to pour your love and affection into some entity, whether it's a person or a car or whatever, then go for Krishna. Put your love and attention, give it to Krishna, because he's the one who can reciprocate it. And the third is to consider that this world, with all its things, how many things are in the world? Approximately 1 billion? More than a billion? More than a billion things. Probably more than a billion things if we divided them up properly, even in this building. So consider everything in this world or person as paraphernalia, or let's say everything as paraphernalia to engage in Krishna service. So if you look at a car, for instance, that's paraphernalia. What's it for? Using Krishna service. What's money for? It's to use in Krishna service. What's the chair for? Using Krishna service. House, it covers everything. This is your full coverage. Everything in the world is paraphernalia to use in Krishna service. Ishavasyam idam sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat tena taktena punjita magrada kasaswadanam. Problem solved. So you got three tenets. One is, this is not my home. That's a relief, because if it was, it's a pretty crummy home. You don't get to stay. There is a home. Cultivate knowledge. Krishna talks about it in the Bhagavad Gita. Paras tasmat tu bhavonyo vyakto vyaktat sanatana yaksak sarveshu bhuteshu nashyatsu navinashiti. When everything else in this world gets crushed, and it will, that place is there for you always. It's never diminished, and it's never destroyed. It's always there. So that's good to know. You have a home. Number 2, object of love. Don't pour out your love in places where it can't be reciprocated properly. Love Krishna, put your love into Krishna. What that means also, because inevitable question comes, does that mean that I become antisocial, I don't love anybody else? No, actually, you love people more profoundly. You love all the entities more profoundly based on the principle that you see that they're all connected to Krishna. The other kind of so-called love is very superficial. You know, I love you, and then 2 years later, I hate you, and by the way, here's some papers I want you to sign. This is commonplace in the material world because it's just superficial. But if you love Krishna, then there's a deep abiding love that you have for all living entities, not just humans. You love spiders and you love worms. Yeah, spiders and worms. You love spiders and worms because you see Krishna's there in their heart. And trees. We just read in Giriraj Swami's book how the length Prabhupada went to save one tree. He said, you can't cut these trees down. He said, leave it in the middle of the road. He said, I saw it in the Middle East. They do this. They preserve the tree. So still, you'll see at Juhu, middle of the road, coming in there, it's like, there's a palm tree growing out of the middle of the road. You go around it. That'd be nice on the 101. We should ask if they would do that. Once, we wrote to the governor and told him that we had caused the rains to come in the drought. You should support us. That was Arnold Schwarzenegger. And anyway, so the third thing is everything's to be used in Krishna's service. And if you think like that, then you won't be in anxiety, because if you consider something yours, then you're going to be disappointed. But if you consider it's mine only to use in Krishna's service, then you'll always be positioned properly and no problem. And now I'm going to do a time check, because today we have a special offering, 2 special offerings. It's actually one with 2 segments in it, which is coming to me in the form of a handwritten note. Okay. It'll be ready soon. Okay, now let's just see if there's any more reflections or questions. Yes, Priya Kishori.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I really liked your point about investing all our love in Krishna and not investing that love in various other locations or places or things that might disappoint us. And simply by loving Krishna, watering the root of the tree, everyone around us will get nourished. And that's very relieving to know, because there's might be so many expectations or desires we may have, but we can actually accomplish all of those simply by pleasing and serving Krishna and loving Him.
Yes. You know, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I mentioned him earlier. He's Krishna, but he comes as a devotee to teach how to give love to Krishna, practically. Therefore, there's 2 words, acharya. Acharya means one who teaches by example. And lila. Lila means for a divine person who's not bound to the material world the way they do things in this world. So Acharya Lila describes Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He comes to the world. He's not bound to come, but he's here to show us exactly how to do devotional service and to love Krishna, as you're saying. And so one of the tenets of love for Krishna is to consider that I'm part of Krishna and Krishna is mine. And in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela, he goes out of his way to show us that in various ways that actually we're always connected to Krishna, and the most binding of feelings is Krishna is mine. So there's a story about this. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in his youth, he was a great scholar. And the devotees whom he lived with in Navadvip had a conversation amongst themselves regularly, which is, he's so smart, so beautiful, there's only one thing wrong. We wish he was a devotee. And later, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Gaya. This is all part of his Leela. He's just showing this to the world, unfolding segments of his life to teach us something. He goes and he meets his guru, Srila Ishvarapuri in Gaya. He went there, did Nimai Pandit, which was his name before. He's called Chaitanya Mahaprabhu after he took sannyas. And there he went to honor his father's death anniversary. And when he was there, he met his guru, and he took initiation in the process of chanting Hare Krishna. So then when he came back to Navadvip, his hometown, he manifested his mood as a devotee of Krishna. And all the devotees were excitedly running to one another's homes saying, guess what? There's news. Nimai Pandit's become a devotee. That was big news. So after some time in Navadvip, Nimai Pandit took sannyas. Sannyas means to become a monk, renunciate, give up everything, family, and so forth. And he did this just to give everyone more of an opportunity to have access to his Leela around the world, and also to give people who were hesitant about appreciating him to just sort of naturally appreciate him because he was a sannyasi, which is a worshipable kind of a person in India. And so when he went to take his sannyas initiation, Keshava Bharati was his sannyas guru. And Keshava Bharati was going to give him a mantra because he took Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sannyas in a line that was coming down from Shankaracharya, and there was this aphorism, Tattvamasi, that Mayavadis say. And they interpret that word, that phrase, as you are that, which means you are God. So when they take sannyas, they walk around thinking, yeah, I'm God. I am God. I'm manifest in this way. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then went, before he took initiation, he had heard from one of his devotees, Murari Gupta, that Tattvamasi actually means that you are his. It means that you belong to Krishna. And so before he went for his initiation, he went to his initiating guru, initiating sannyas guru, and he said, I had this dream that you gave me this mantra, and I want to tell it to you, what I heard in my dream, to see if it's the same mantra you're about to give me. And so his guru said, okay, tell me. And he put his right ear, the ear that you hear the mantra in when you take initiation. And so Mahaprabhu said, Tattvamasi. But he did it with the mood, the conception of you are his, not you are that you are Krishna, but that you belong to Krishna. Krishna belongs to you. It's a very different meaning. And you could say it's the same words, but the mood, as I was talking about earlier, the mood has to be right. It's part of the formula, right? That's right. So now what happened was, it was kind of a trick, because this way Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had initiated his guru before his guru initiated him. Initiation really means to take on the mood of the parampara, and the guru you're getting it from gives you the mantra in a certain conception, in a certain mood. So that he gave it back to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, already having been initiated by him, and therefore he received this mantra of Tattvamasi. So it indicates the mood that of the line of devotional service that we're in. And it's very sweet, actually, that we belong to Krishna, and Krishna belongs to us. He's ours. And this is a mood of devotees who are advancing in devotional service. Mamata means he's mine. So that's where you can get attached. Full permission from every teaching of bhakti in the world, that become attached to Krishna and feel like he's mine and I'm his. Then you can be completely happy. We'll just take two more. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. This is about the second point that you were saying about that the object of love that is real is Krishna. I was thinking that Krishna alone reciprocates with us without any condition. People in the material world, it all depends on how you treat them, they treat you back. it's based on situations, their mood, and so many other factors. Of course, we also have to behave nice to them. But, with Krishna, it's like he picks up whenever we fall down, and it's so reassuring to feel that he's always there for us, regardless of the mistakes that we do. But of course, we have to repent and go forward, but he's always there. That gives we don't have to feel discouraged at any point.
Well, that's nice to know, and it's a good point. We can see in the Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says about those who are practicing devotional service to the best of their ability, even if they're terrible at it. Anyone? Don't raise your hand. Even if, Krishna says, in fact he says these exact words, even if, api chet, sudaracharo, even if you're doing devotional service and it appears that you don't even look like a devotee, you're very worldly, and you're stop-start, but your intention is there, like tattvamasi, I'm Krishna's. Then Krishna says, don't worry about a thing. I will always stand up for my devotee, and I'll protect my devotee. You'll be successful no matter what. So align your mood in the ways that we talked about before and go on no matter how bad you think you are. And as you're pointing out, that Krishna will cover for you in all ways. Thank you. That was an important point. One more. Yes.
I was just thinking how the same Tattvamasi, we are His, and that not feeling discouraged also holds true in Krishna consciousness, because even after performing Krishna consciousness for so many years, when I go to India and be in some temples or amongst relatives where the mood is like Dwaraka, like so many rituals and worship of Krishna, and they say so many things that you don't understand. And then sometimes the thought comes to my mind like, oh, I was 20 years away from all these things. Did it mean that I didn't do anything right? Or was it like the mood was different? But then Krishna shows us that it's the attitude that we have developed is what is much more precious than the rituals, which could be niyamagraha, which we don't know, but he instills that faith that whatever we did under the shelter of Vaishnavas will protect us, and that's the truth. And he instills that faith in such a deeper manner. So I also thought that we should keep going.
Yeah, it's a very important point you make. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, in the 8th chapter, Yang vapi smaran bhavam tajat yanti kalevaram tam evaiti konteya sadatad bhava bhavita. If you think about this for a minute, it's easy to rush through this verse and say, yeah, I heard that before. But think about what it says. Krishna says, when you leave this body, then the mood that you've developed, the attitude, as you say, the prominent attitude that you've developed because of the way you've chosen to associate yourself in this world and the kind of practices that you've kept up, those will come to the fore at the time when you leave your body. And remember I talked about being helpless? Somebody was telling me about being arrested, and then their hands were handcuffed behind their back and they were thrown in a car, and the police car, and being driven off somewhere. And so like, yeah, I'd like to stop at the park and have a drink of water or something like that. It's like, no, you're going straight to you're not stopping anywhere. You're going where we say you're going. I'd like to go home first and change. No, you don't get to change. You're going straight to the place. This is what happens when we leave the body. Everything's out of our hands after that time. Now it's in our hands right now. And if we develop the right attitude, which is possible, you can change your attitude, right? Yes. Say yes. Yes. You can always change your attitude. And the best attitude to have is that I belong to Krishna, Krishna belongs to me. Cultivate that throughout your life, because yang vapi smaran bhavam. When you leave the body, if you have that feeling, that attitude, that bhava, that's my main feeling, then you attain success when you leave this body. Otherwise, whatever kind of debilitated attitudes that you have, that you allow to linger in this lifetime, you even maybe cultivate them on the side or as your main thing, that's going to decide how you get accommodated in your next life. So remember, you have freedom right now. Everyone has freedom. You have freedom. Even if you feel like you only have this much freedom. How much? Like that much. Use that to develop the attitude of Krishna consciousness, because that will serve you eternally well. And there is a time in which it gets tested, and when we're leaving the body, especially when we're leaving the body. So with that, we have a couple of minutes before we have our offerings. We have a couple of offerings tonight. At this, for those of you who may be just tuning in right now or have just walked in for the first time, in our community, we have a project that's ongoing. And that is to distribute, we have many projects going, but one of the major projects is to distribute copious amounts of spiritual literature to the not just to Silicon Valley, but to all parts of the world. And we've developed this community since 1997 in earnest, based on, it's been based on the distribution of literatures. And then, of course, as Pavani Bhakti's pointing out, when you do that, then people come knocking at your door and say, now what do I do? And so the other part of our mission has been to develop ways to help people move forward in their bhakti practices at all different times and levels. And so today is a celebration of one of the great teachers of bhakti, named Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. This is a weekend we've dedicated to him. And today we'll be standing up in a few minutes, and before our founder Acharya, we'll be offering the results of our combined distribution of books, and also what we call the Bhakti community, which is we developed especially in a robust way during the pandemic, through which people could join together and practice bhakti and associate with one another in communities online. And we have a way of measuring our progress in that mission. The two missions go together. They're like hand and glove, or like yin and yang, or peas and carrots, as Keshav Bharti Maharaj always says. I never got that one. So that's something we're going to be doing in just a couple of minutes. And before we have that, we're going to do a little more chanting. So we have chanting in the beginning and at the end, okay? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna,
Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Gaur Premanande, Nitai Gaura Haribo, Haribo,
Tiger.
Haribo, Thai Gaur Haribo. And at about 62 seconds, we're going to stand up. We'll put away the asana in 62 seconds. We'll put away the asanas, and then we're going to make a semicircle around Srila Prabhupada's Vyasasana with a open channel so that he can still see the deities. And we'll make the offering, and we'll have an experiment in quietude just beforehand, because when we stand up, then the volume will increase, and then we'll practice Vachovegam. And then suddenly, we'll just fall completely quiet, and then the offerings will begin. Before we do that, I'd like to offer my deep appreciation to my wife, Nirakula Devi Dasi. Today is her birthday. I'd like to thank you very much for giving me inspiration every day, the way you steadily perform your services. And I must say that it'd be very difficult to do anything without you at this point, because I'm so dependent on the services that you do that I really can't. We were just talking about you flying somewhere, me flying or me staying home, and I was thinking, well, how will you survive? She asked. And then I was thinking, yeah, how would I survive? I think I could do that. And like, no, I can't do that, because you do so much. So my deepest gratitude and appreciation. Thank you very, very much for dedicating your whole life to Krishna consciousness, and I feel very fortunate to be your husband and to have the opportunity to serve next to you in this lifetime. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Can she give a speech? 1 minute speech?
Okay, we need a 1-minute speech.
Mama here. I'll deal with it afterwards.
Thank you. It is my pleasure and my great honor to be your wife, and for you to accept my humble service, done incompletely and not so well, but you're always encouraging and accepting of that. And so I can think of ways I inspire you to be better, because I have such a long way to go. And you're always encouraging me. And I very much appreciate that. And to all of you, I've been getting so many lovely birthday wishes. I got a couple of really nice cards, handwritten with drawings, and I'm very blessed. That's all I can say. My heart is just overwhelmed with my good fortune to be a part of this community, and thank you for accepting me, for loving me, and for always encouraging me. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Vegam. thank you so much.
I need two Prabhus to, Hare Krishna, I need two Prabhus to help me roll the carpet.
Put it back. Where does this go?
You don't need my.
No, I don't need. I don't need. Mataji. Okay.
Or maybe, I think I can begin now.
That's better.
Take this.
Everything is on.
Krishna 10, Krishna 9, Krishna 8, Krishna 7, Krishna 6, Krishna 5, Krishna 4, Krishna 3, Krishna 2, Krishna 1.
Dear Shri Prabhupada, please accept our most humble obeisances at the dust of your lotus feet. All glories to your divine grace. On behalf of Bhakti community, we offer the following results on the most auspicious occasion of our monthly Sankirtan festival, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's MSF of Buy the Bhajan Stock Now. With His Grace Vaisesika Prabhu, Her Grace Nirakula Mataji, and blessings, and ISKCON of Silicon Valley Board's permission, Bhakti community was launched on April 25, 2020, the auspicious occasion of Akshaya Tritiya. Over the past 1 year, Bhakti community has grown to 231 community members. And conducted more than 250 online devotional classes. On April 17, 2021, Bhakti community made a presentation at the North American GBC's 2021 spring event. The presentation was titled, ideal follow-up program to inspire every newcomer to become a practicing devotee, and was attended by over 100 North American temple presidents and Sankirtan leaders. Bhakti community received rave reviews from the Vaishnavas for being a comprehensive and professional platform for online outreach and personal support. Bhakti Community Partner Program is helping 20 ISKCON temples from across the globe to launch their own local Bhakti community. More than 50 members from these partner communities attended the Bhakti Community Building Workshop that explained the Bhakti Community goals, strategy, newcomer care and nurturing process. A comprehensive Bhakti Community etiquette guide was also shared that describes how to take care of newcomers, including do's and don'ts and common spiritual vocabulary to speak the language that the newcomers can understand. The weekly Success Sadhana program is attended by around 80 members from the corporate world. In the Success Sadhana Superpower series, spiritual practices that help build gratitude, focus, simplicity, satisfaction, mantra meditation, forgiveness, and application were explained. That was very well received. A new discussion-based 9-month program, Bhakti Circle, Discover Yourself, was launched in June that systematically introduces Bhakti Yoga to newcomers. The topics covered so far include mantra meditation, consciousness, mind, moods and modes. More than 50 participants regularly attend the weekly Bhakti Circle program and has been very much appreciated by the newcomers. Bhakti Community launched Success Sadhana mobile app to help newcomers build a simplified daily spiritual practice based on Bhakti Yoga. ISKCON community, which is an extension of Bhakti community, collaborated with BBT to launch the Sankirtan app at ISKCON of Silicon Valley. Haribo. The app will be rolled out across North America over the next year. On the auspicious day of Gaur Purnima, Bhakti Community launched Spiritual Youth Circle to help newcomer youth build spiritual relationships and spiritual practices. Spiritual Youth Circle has grown to 36 members and 15 volunteers who meet every week discussing various spiritual topics. Bhakti community's sole purpose is to associate newcomers with Vaishnavas so that newcomers can progress in Bhakti Yoga. Vaishnava Sangha Lava, or VSL, is a metric that measures how many times a newcomer comes in association with a Vaishnava through a devotional service class. For this MSF, Bhakti Community Silicon Valley's goal was to achieve 396 Vaishnava Sangha Lavas. We are very happy to report that Bhakti Community has smashed the goal and achieved 924 Vaishnava Sangha Lavas. For this MSF, Spiritual Youth Circle's goal was to achieve 96 VSLs. We are very happy to report that Spiritual Youth Circle achieved the goal by earning 104 VSLs. Spiritual Youth Circle also sent 82 care messages to the newcomers. We sincerely thank all the volunteers, room leaders, speakers, and specially book distributors who work tirelessly every day to fulfill Srila Prabhupada's mission to spread Krishna consciousness in the Western world. We also want to thank each of our donors who help us maintain the Bhakti Community platform. And finally, our most heartfelt, sincere gratitude to His Grace Vaisesika Prabhu for envisioning and sustaining the Bhakti community. The Bhakti community exists only because of you. We pray at the lotus feet of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur to bless the Bhakti community to help spread Lord Chaitanya's mission to every town and village in the Western world. Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan ki jai. Shri Shri Lakshmi Narasimha Dev ki. Shri Shriman Mahaprabhu ki. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Pramanande Hari Bol.
Dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept my most humble obeisances at the dust of your lotus feet. All glories to your divine grace. All glories to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. We gathered here on the most auspicious occasion to offer the results of our monthly Sankirtan festival, MSF of Buy the Bhajan Stock Now. In the song Ami Tomar Dukher Dukhi by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he writes, by chanting the holy name, all your sinful reactions and material miseries will be cast far away. This world will become full of wonderful meaning for you. There will be no more fear, and you will be immersed in the ocean of pure joy. I myself am now quite wretched and indeed destitute, for by arranging to bring the Lord's holy name, here I have fallen into the great debt. Seeing me as a soul stricken with extreme poverty, please hand over to me the price of your faith. Taking your payment, O brothers, I will pass it along to Mahajan, the proprietor Lord Nityananda. Whatever small commission I may earn by conducting this transaction will be kept in my storeroom. Following in the footsteps of dear Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Team ISV, taking shelter of the holy name, set out to distribute books and start earning some commission. The goal for this MSF was at least for 300 devotees to participate in this MSF. Following are the highlights. Kids Sankirtan team are gearing up, and they had their first actual Sankirtan outing last weekend after 1.5 years. They're getting started, and they accrued 370.5 book points, and they collected $1,329 in Lakshmi. Navina Nirada Prabhu is traveling all over North America and is distributing tens and thousands of books. And he single-handedly collected $25,000 and $61 in Lakshmi. Bhakti SF team distributed many books in San Francisco and Bay Area, and they collected $1,600 in donations. A team of 20 Russian devotees set up table once a month at Dolores Park and Embarcadero and distributed many hundreds of books. Little Free Library team continues to place hundreds of books across California and beyond. In order to take advantage of Buy the Bhajan stocks, ISV Sankirtan devotees chanted 32 rounds on the Ekadashi day. Again, after 1.5 years of separation, Kirtan Oasis Festival reopened this MSF, and more than 100 devotees participated in the festival. Bhagavat Seva's online Sunday school is happy to let you know that it has extended to ages 0 to 15 now. And these courses will be certified, and kids 0 to 8 years will get certificate from ISV, and 9+ years will receive certificate from Bhaktivedanta Vidyapith in Mumbai University. For youth and adults, they are launching Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita certification course that is based on Adi Leela, certified by Bhaktivedanta Vidyapith again, and taught by Gauranga Darshan Prabhu. According to Bhagavat Seva's preliminary scores, they distributed 108 Srimad Bhagavatam so far. And they collected $16,200 in Lakshmi. Western Sankirtan team started traveling extensively around and outside California. They covered Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, Oregon, and major national parks like Yellowstone, Sequoia National Park. On Independence Day weekend, they had 2 travel and Sankirtan teams going to Lake Tahoe and Yellowstone simultaneously. The team also secured a permit for distributing books at San Francisco International Airport. They set up their first table yesterday at the airport. In total, Western Sankirtan team distributed and accrued 9,879.3 book points. And they raised $9,421.86 in Lakshmi. Team Motel Gita is trying to partner with other Hindu temples in USA for propagation of transcendental knowledge through Srimad Bhagavatam. So far, over 60 temples have agreed to partner by keeping Srimad Bhagavatam in their temple libraries. And out of which 44 were already dispatched. Also, Motel Gita dispatched 15,543 assorted books to hotels, libraries, and Indian grocery stores. and 30 devotees participated in Motel Gita team. Corporate Sankirtan team announced their results for the first half of the year. They accrued 4,811.45 Lakshmi points till now. They collected total of $92,546.44 in Lakshmi. We also launched NIFTA, North American Indian Free Trade Agreement. And our first order will be placed this MSF, and tomorrow will be our first shipment. ISV devotees generously donated in response to the requests made by His Grace Vaisesika Prabhu. And during the Sunday feast, as well as yesterday, Team ISV collected $49,120 in sponsorships. As we make this offering of the MSF results, we are pleased to report that all the goals have been successfully met, surpassed, and smashed. As a special offering, this MSF, 402 devotees participated. Surpassing the goal of 300 devotees. And with respect to books, Team ISV accrued 47,697.25 in book points. Which includes 430 Srimad Bhagavatam sets, surpassing the previous year's total of 253 sets. Team ISV raised 195,027 and 49 cents in Lakshmi, surpassing the previous year's total of 166,652.80 cents. Our hope is that Bhaktivinoda Thakur is pleased with these results. We thank all our Sankirtan devotees for their continued dedication and enthusiasm to carry out the mission. We also thank our generous donors to help support this mission. We express our immense gratitude to His Grace Vaisesika Prabhu, Her Grace Nirakula Mataji, and all of Srila Prabhupada's disciples. With the inspiration from His Grace Vaisesika Prabhu, we are marching towards our 2000 Bhagavatam set goal for Bhadra Purnima. As he says, your pledge is your wedge. Praying for the blessings of you, dear Srila Prabhupada, and all the previous acharyas, and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, to help us fulfill our goal. Srila Prabhupada ki, Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan ki, Shriman Mahaprabhu ki, Shri Shri Lakshmi Narsingha Dev ki, Gaura Premanande.
Our special thanks and recognition for Shri Krishna Purushottam, Malini Devi Dasi, for keeping the book distribution movement on track here at ISV. Hare Krishna. We thank all the leaders from all the different departments, too numerous to name now because every person is empowered to expand. But we'd like to thank Jai Madhava Prabhu and Pavani Bhakti for taking up this initiative, heart and soul, for Bhakti community and Bhakti circle, so we have a complete complement to book distribution. Gaur Premanande Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Prachadine Nirvishesha Shunavari Paschatya Reshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya. 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 Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jai Jai. Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jai Jai. Govinda Jai Jai Gopala Jai Jai. Govinda Jai Jai Gopala Jai Jai. Govinda Jai Jai Gopala Jai Jaya. Govinda Jai Jai Gopala Jai Jaya. Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jai Jai. Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jai Jai. Nitai Gaur Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaur Haribo. Nitai Gaur Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaur Haribo. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Go Premanande Haribo, Haribo. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. Jayom Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakachaja Stotarasata Shishiman Abhay Charana Ravinda Bhaktivinoda Sai Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayom Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakachaja Stotarasata Shishiman Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Gosai Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavini Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prems Gaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gokopina Shamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Navadip Dham Ki Jai. Shri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. All glorious to the assembled devotees. All glorious to the assembled devotees. All glorious to the assembled devotees. Go Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Our dear Shri Shri Lakshmi Nrsingadev, if you so desire, please protect our dear Gauri, daughter of Sachinanda Nimai, Prabhu, who's right now in the ICU with a 105-degree fever. Please protect her and help bring her back to health so she can do her lifetime devotional service. Thank you for considering our request. Hare Krishna.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Praladadadadahine. Praladadadadahine. Hiranyakashipurvaksha. Hiranyakashipurvaksha. Shilatankanakalaye. Shilatankanakalaye. Ito Narasimha, Parato Narasimha. Ito Narasimha, Bahe Narsimha, Hridaye Narsimha. Bahe Narsimha, Hridaye Narsimha. Narsimhamadim Sharanam Prapadye. Narsimhamadim Sharanam Prapadye. Tava Kara Kamalavadhi Abhuta Singham Dhalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringham Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Keshavadita Harirupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jagadisha Hare Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare. Oh Jaya Narsimhadev, Jaya Narsimhadev, Jaya Narsimhadev, Jaya Narsimhadev. Oh Jaya Bhakta Prahlad, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj. Oh Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Hariba, 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 Nitai Gaura Hariba. Bhaktivinoda Nrsimhadev Bhagwan ki, Bhakta Shirmani Prahlad Maharaj ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Welcome back to the Ever Fresh Sunday program. You must have all missed these programs together. I certainly did. And it's so beautiful to see all of your faces again at Silicon Valley. A little bit about our program today. Vaisesika Prabhu, thank you so much for giving the wonderful class. A special thanks to our Sankirtan leaders, Malini Mataji, Shri Krishna Purushottam Prabhu, and Jai Madhava Prabhu for offering such a beautiful result from our community to Srila Prabhupada and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Also, and also Pavani Bhakti Mataji. As you know, we have a wonderful Sunday feast following these programs on Sunday. And today's sponsors were, we have quite a few. The first is Pratik and Priyanka on their first wedding anniversary. Pratik and Priyanka, are you here by any chance? Please come up. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna. Is this your first time to Silicon Valley? Yes, nice. Would you like to say a few words?
I would just like to say thank you for welcoming me. This is my very first time getting in association with all Krishna devotees. So this Friday, I'm actually traveling back to Canada, so I will continue to associate because I figure out that there is a center in Winnipeg in Canada as well. So I will continue to get associated with all the Krishna devotees, but it was such a pleasure. Although it was just few months, but I really liked how everybody welcomed me to be a part of this.
I'd like to thank everyone, just the love we show towards Krishna, and it's just inspiring to be here every Sunday, at least.
We also have a very special occasion today, which is Nirkula Mataji's birthday, and Sachindra and Deepali are sponsoring the feast for Nirkula Mataji. Are they here by any chance? Yes. If many of you don't know, they actually recently moved here with their two beautiful children from Chicago to be a part of the ISV community.
Thank you for all your kindness to all of it, and I wish Nirkula Mataji a very happy birthday and healthy birthday. Many more to come. Thank you. As my brother Armand just said, I want to wish Nirkula Mataji a very healthy and happy birthday and many more to come.
So more good news. This morning, Shashi and Victoria gave birth to a baby who was aforementioned as the future baby, but now the boy is named Ramachandra, and the mom and baby are well. Right there. He's right there. You can see on the screen. Very cute baby. Future devotee of ISV, or devotee of ISV. Yeah. Following this program, there will be a cake cutting for Mother Nirkula. And some bittersweet news. Malini Mataji and Pankaj Prabhu and their children, Anish and Anushka, will be moving from ISV. They've been such a great addition, especially Mataji's art, her contributions to Sankirtan, and Anushka and Anish being such a lively part of our youth community. We'll really miss you. And hopefully you won't like the place you're going next and you'll come back here soon. Oh, they're opening a center in Korea, Seoul. They're moving to Korea. would you like to share a few words, Mataji, Prabhu, Anushka?
Hare Krishna, all devotees, and Hare Krishna to you, Prabhuji. Anishaja. Kamsimida. That is thank you in Korean. No, it's Kamsahamnida. I'm still learning, he's teaching me. So I think it's been quite a journey here since we moved to US in 2013 August. That was almost 8 years back. And I think it was our good fortune and luck to be associated with this devotee community. And here is where I would rightly say, this is where the training ground for the bhakti devotion basically is. This is the perfect training ground for bhakti devotion, and that's where I'm very fortunate that our kids, Anushka and Anish, they could start their first initial footsteps in this, and we hope to basically continue with all your association. Though we may be living in South Korea, Seoul, but not for long, because I think we all want to be back here in this community. So that is our hope. Thank you.
Haribol, I just wanted to say that I'm very, very grateful for each and every one of you here and for this amazing group of devotees that I've and my family has gotten the good fortune of being into. I remember when we used to live in Singapore before moving here, we used to attend Gita's, like weekly Gita reading sessions and family Gita Path. But at that time, for some reason, I just didn't really connect too much, and I would just go out of respect. But I think after moving here in 2013, and actually just listening to all the different devotees, their perspectives, and just reading more books that I previously didn't, I think that's definitely made a huge impact. And I've learned and grown so much, and I just think this is the beginning. I hope to be back very soon. Let's see where Krishna takes us now. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We look forward to having you back soon. And for those who might have missed yesterday, we are also having, we also had a very sweet farewell party for His Grace Bhaktivatsal Prabhu, who will actually be moving to Florida and Alachua, and we hope that he will be returning very frequently to visit us. And now we'll just announce the cooks for today, for the Sunday feast.
Hare Krishna. Today's prashadam was cooked by Ujjwala Rasa Mataji, Upasana Mataji, Arun Prabhu, Kanika Mataji, Tripti Mataji, Thadiya Seva Prabhu, Vijay Damodar Prabhu, Parth Advaita, Survi, Swaraj, and Vedant.
So, as some of you may know, Nirkula Mataji is not in big favor of surprises. Therefore, we have arranged this cake cutting amongst all the devotees for you, Mataji, and we have some flowers and a beautiful card to give you.
There must have been a reason why I didn't eat today. Ujjwala Rasa and her crew cooked the feast. Thank you all very much, and this beautiful cake. I'm just thrilled to be here in a packed house again, seeing everybody happily chanting and dancing, and it's just, it doesn't get better than this. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Sharirat Vijaja Jodendriyata Hekaha Jive Pele Vishaya Shagare Karma Jivayati Loba Moisudurmati Take Jeta Katita Shanshare Krishna Bodha Doyamoy Kori Bare Chihwaja Shaprashad Annadi Lobhai Shayanamrita Pao Radha Krishna Gunagao Preme Dako Shri Chaitanya Nihita Preme Dako Shri Chaitanya Nihita Mahaprasade Govinde Nam Ramri Vaishnave Svalpa Punyavatam Raja Vishwason Prasade Sarva Dutanam Hanirasopadayate Prasana Chetaso Yashu Bhuri Paryavatishtate Tvayopu Bhukta Sraganda Vasalantara Karchita Uchista Bhujino Dasas Davamayam Jayemahi Bhagavat Shri Mahaprasada Ki Gora Premanande Barhapidam Daftaravara Bapu Karna Yo Karnikaram Bibradvasa Kanaka Kapisham Vaijayantim Chamalam Randrandvenur Adhara Sudaya Purnayan Gopavrinde Vrindaranyam Swapada Ramanam Bhavishad Gita Kirti Tavakatam Vritam Bhakta Jivanam Kavir Biriditam Shapmarapaham Shavanamangalam Shri Maratatam Dhuvigrananti Bhuri Jajana Krishnot Kirtana Kana Nartanakala Pato Jani Brajita Sadbhakta Balihamsa Chakra Madhupa Shreni Viharaspadam Karnanandikaladvanirvahatu me Jiva Maru Prangane Shri Chaitanya Doya Nideta Valasa Lila Sudaswardhuni Nita Kedaya Vishadaya Pronilaramodaya Shamyat Shastra Vivardaya Rasadaya Chitarpito Madaya Shashvat Bhaktivinodaya Samadaya Madhuya Maryadaya Shri Chaitanya Doya Nidetavataya Bhuyara Mondodaya Shri Vishnu Shravane Parikshira Bhavad Vaisesika Kirtane Pralada Smarane Tarangri Bhajane Lakshmi Pratu Pujane Akrurastva Vibandane Kapitvadir Dasyeta Sakyarjuna Sarvaswatma Nivedane Balirabhut Krishna. One more time. Vasvatma Nivedane Balirabhu Krishna Piresham Para Go Premanande Nitai Gaura Haribo 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 Tai Gaur Haribo. Can I say it? Please come take prasadam. Haribo.
As we're opening ISV in phases, we're still serving prasadam to go. So we request you to please take a to-go box and enjoy prasadam. And one more important announcement is that we have Vijay Damodar Prabhu back, and he's back to his service, and he will be assisting with the cleanup.
Haribo.
We also have Sudeep Prabhu, who is in the background, always helping us to keep the bathrooms very clean and keep that area pristine for all the devotees to use the facilities there. And in order for us to serve all the devotees better, we request that you can participate in this cleaning service as well. And if you feel interested, please reach out to Hansapriya Mataji, and she will be happy to engage you in a service you'll enjoy. Thank you so much. Hare
Haribo. Please come take prasadam. Vanchakalpadurvishya kripasindavevacha patitanam pavadibhyo vaishnavebhyo namo. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Hare.